Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Wilfredo Ruiz, W-I-L-F-R-E-D-O-R-U-I-Z. I am the Communications Director for the Council on American Islamic Relations, the Florida chapter, also known as CAIR Florida. The reason for us calling for this press conference is because recently our national office published a 2025 Civil Rights report where it compiles and analyzes the civil rights complaints received during the year of 2024. CAIR National's office and the national numbers of all our CAIR offices reported last year over 8,600 complaints from individuals calling for help because their civil rights have been violated. In the case of Florida, it is disturbing because nationally, we experience a 7% increment in this kind of reports, but locally in the state of Florida, we received a 22% increase of Islamophobic civil rights violation complaints. In 2023, we received a total of 341, and last year, we received 438 complaints, almost 100 more complaints than the previous year. There's a difference in the complaints in this year. Islamophobia obviously is at an all-time high. The difference is that now viewpoint discrimination is the majority or key factor of those complaints. No longer are how the people are dressed or the fact that they're Muslims and practicing their religion, but now they're going after their beliefs or viewpoints. Specifically, the one that calls our attention because it's the one we have received the most complaints are those incidents related to the war, the Israeli war in Gaza and Palestine. For the first time in 23 years history of CAIR, viewpoint discrimination is the leading factor of these complaints. Standing up for human rights of the Palestinian people and residents of Gaza, or openly criticizing the state of Israel war crimes in Gaza, often lead to people being accused of anti-Semitism or being accused of being terrorist sympathizers. I'm going to mention some key factors in the national report, and are three areas within these civil rights complaints. The first is a shift in targeting. Muslims, Palestinians, Arabs, Jews, African Americans, Asian Americans were increasingly targeted for openly speaking out against the genocide and apartheid of Israeli policies. The second point is we have experienced a rise in employment discrimination. Workplace discrimination emerged as the most reported category, accounting for 15% of all those complaints. Many cases involved retaliation against employees for expressing support for Palestinians' human rights. And the third category is an increase in law enforcement encounters. Reports of discriminatory law enforcement actions surged by 71%, reflecting a growing pattern of university administrators and law enforcement agencies targeting student activists, or students are leading protests against the war in Gaza. While the report paints a grim picture, it also highlights some key victories from CAIR nationally. A 9-0 Supreme Court ruling against the federal no-fly list is one of them. Another one are legal victories for over 25,000 individuals impacted by the Muslim ban. and also FCC actions to prevent the sale of Muslim user data. Finally, I'm calling the attention to one case that I'm going to highlight here in Florida. And after me, our lead attorney, Omar Saleh, will go to specifics of multiple other cases that he's personally handling and representing. The case I want to highlight is the shooting in Miami Beach. An individual shot 17 times in the street of Miami Beach, terrorizing residents and terrorizing the purported target. When the individual was apprehended by law enforcement, first thing he uttered to them was, "I just shot and killed 2 Palestinians." We needed to call in various press releases and various interventions by our legal team to press and push for the state attorney to charge this individual with hate crimes. To this day, we have not heard a word from the Miami Beach mayor assuring the residents, Arab residents, Palestinian residents, and visitors of Miami Beach that they are safe in his city. Same, unfortunately, with Daniela Levine Cava, Miami-Dade County Mayor. To this day, we have not heard from her any statements assuring the Arab and Palestinian residents, store owners, and visitors of their safety and security. We're still waiting for those statements from these 2 mayors after this terrorist attack that happened in Miami Beach, that still to this day, we don't know where to be seen, the worst extremist or the worst terrorism to this shooting of 17 times to a father and son who were vacationing here in Miami Beach, thinking that they were Palestinians. Now, our attorney Omar Saleh will go to some specifics of this type of cases that we are handling in the state of Florida. Omar Saleh.
Thanks, Wilfredo. Good morning. My name is Omar Saleh. It's O-M-A-R-S-A-L-E-H. I'm managing attorney at CAIR Florida. 2024 and coming into 2025 have been the months of what we are calling victims' rights and doxing. Throughout any year that CAIR Florida's history, the number of people who are being assaulted just by how they look as Muslims, or people who are being harassed or intimidated just by expressing their viewpoint, has skyrocketed. If anybody is unsure as to whether the Constitution is under attack, go through the Constitution or speak with a constitutional expert. Just a few months ago, we had a lady with her 3 daughters, all U.S. citizens, wearing hijab, was assaulted by somebody, and they were threatened with death over a course of 5 minutes. A licensed dentist went up to them and said, "Get out of my country, I'm going to kill you." And it took us 3 or 4 months to get this individual charged. And the only reason why he did it was how they look. There's a statute, Florida Statute 784.0493, clearly states that anybody who's harassed or intimidated based on how they look is guilty of a misdemeanor. We've had several of these cases. We've heard of a case in Lee County where someone's property was vandalized just because he had a pro-Palestinian t-shirt. Somebody carved 2 stars of David in his truck, and that person was arrested. They found that that guy is also a licensed physician. That's extremely disturbing when our licensed professionals are committing these crimes for anybody who speaks out. What's most disturbing is that state attorneys and law enforcement just don't see it seriously enough to charge these as hate crimes. This is also the year of doxing, where people's private information is publicly disseminated with the intent to harass or intimidate them. And it's led many professionals, doctors and lawyers, to be fired or investigated. In fact, one of our clients who's an attorney, was fired for just speaking out for Palestine. Let's make it clear, criticizing the Israeli government is not anti-Semitic. Just as we've criticized the Saudi government in the past, that doesn't make us anti-Muslim as Muslims. Likewise, criticizing the government of Israel or Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't make a person anti-Semitic, it's extremely disturbing when our national rhetoric is pointing to that way. I think it waters down the true definition of anti-Semitism, and it harms our community. Discrimination against any race or religion is unacceptable. So the laser focus on only one type of discrimination, that toward anti-Semitism, while it is disturbing, really needs to be expanded to include other faiths, including the Muslim faiths, the Hindu faiths, which are all experiencing increased levels of assaults and discrimination. So why not?
We are open for questions. Together with us is also present Noor Sheikh. He's the youth coordinator for CAIR Florida. So we're open for questions.
In your own words, I mean, what is driving this surge? You talk about a 22% increase. What is it?
It's the rhetoric from public officials who don't see an issue when they state things against Muslims, against Arabs, calling them terrorists, calling them anti-Semitic. It's not true, and it leads people to get angry, like Mordecai Brafman, who clearly had hate within him toward Palestinians and exhibited such in Miami Beach to a deadly extent. They listen to people like President Trump, like Secretary Rubio. They listen to these words and they act upon them. And that's one of the main problems. We can't have our elected officials stoking this hate.
You talked about not receiving a response from Miami Beach's mayor or even Daniela Levine Cava. We will reach out to them today to get a statement. But what do you want to say to them?
I want to say that it is their duty as mayors to publicly assure specifically the safety and security of Arab and Palestinians who were targeted in this extremist attack that recently happened. The first words that this perpetrator uttered to the law enforcement when he was apprehended was, "I just shot 2 Palestinians and I killed 2 Palestinians." So it is their duty, him as a mayor of Miami Beach and her as a mayor of Miami-Dade County, to assure specifically the Arab and Palestinians community that they're safe in the streets of Miami Beach or everywhere in Miami-Dade County. We don't want any general statement that everybody's safe. That is what is wrong. When victims are Jews, we are the first who issue press releases condemning that. Where are them when the attempted victims were Palestinians and Arabs, assuring their safety and security? Just broad statements. The Miami Beach mayor goes even further. He did not even call for a hate crime. At least Daniela Levine Cava from the beginning called for a hate crime charges.
Why don't you think he called for a hate crime?
We don't know. I don't want to think that he has some kind of racist thoughts against Palestinians or Arabs. I don't want to think that. And the way he can prove it is making a public statement assuring the safety and security of Palestinian and Arab residents and visitors to his city.
And let's talk about safety and security. What is CAIR doing to ensure that our community is safe?
I mean, we're always working to keep the community informed. We give KYRs all over the state. I travel myself to schools, universities, business owners, mosques, to let the people know. I mean, if you've been assaulted, you need to know that you have rights. Contact the police, contact our office, because unfortunately, law enforcement and prosecutors are very slow to act when it comes to crimes against Muslims.
And you're here, youth director, is that the right term?
Yes.
Yeah.
Come here.
Yeah. You're here for a reason, and that's one of our, most vulnerable populations, the youth. Can you talk about just what we're facing and how CAIR is protecting our youth?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, at the moment, right, like all these students that are here about protesting for Palestine and different parts of the world they're seeing suffering happen, right? What CAIR is trying to do, we want to ensure that they are knowledgeable of their rights, right, through KYRs, and also kind of encourage them to get into politics, right? Because as you have mentioned, there is a huge hole. People that are around my age, they don't want to go into politics anymore, right? Because they get turned off by it, they don't think that their voice is heard. But what we're trying to promote is your voice matters, and it should matter. So that's what we're trying to get across.
Mashallah.
And one more time, can you say and spell your first and last name?
Yeah.
Give me your titles.
Yeah, no problem. So my first name is Noor. My last name is Shaikh. So Noor Sheikh.
Noor.
Yeah.
Noor.
Shaikh.
Got it. And your exact title one more time?
Youth and Outreach Coordinator.
Awesome. Okay. Can we do Spanish sound?
Yeah, we'll do it.
Unless there's anything else you want to say in English?
Any other question in English? You good?
Arabic, Urdu, Spanish.
I'm Puerto Rican, but I don't speak any Spanish, so I'm going to ask you in English, but we're going to share this with our telemundo friends.
Perfecto. El Consejo de Relaciones Islámico-Americanas, en capítulo de la Florida, ha llamado a esta conferencia de prensa para resaltar el hecho de que en su último informe sobre derechos civiles, violaciones a derechos civiles y aquellas quejas traídas a nuestras oficinas, han mostrado un pico y un aumento nacionalmente de un 7%, pero lo que es preocupante es que en el estado de la Florida el aumento ha sido de un 22%. El año antepasado, en 2023, se reportaron 341 casos de violaciones de derechos civiles a nuestras oficinas, pero el año pasado hubo casi 100 más, un total de 438 quejas de violaciones a derechos civiles aquí en la Florida, mayormente a la comunidad musulmana, árabe y palestina. Ha habido un hecho que es distinto, que distingue las quejas de este año a los pasados 23 años. Y es que las quejas de violaciones a derechos civiles de este año se basan más en aquella gente que expresa sus posiciones e ideologías, específicamente en el caso de la guerra de Israel en el territorio de Gaza. Cualquier persona que se muestra opuesta a la guerra de Israel en Gaza o que denuncia la ocupación de Israel, el sistema de apartheid de Israel o los crímenes de guerra por los que hoy Netanyahu tiene una orden de arresto en la Corte Internacional Criminal, son rápidamente señalados como antisemitas. Y aquellos individuos que osan pararse a favor y levantar sus voces a favor del derecho del pueblo palestino a su libre determinación e independencia, son llamados como terroristas o simpatizantes de terroristas. Hay 3 áreas que este informe recoge y que es muy importante señalar. Ha habido un cambio en aquellas personas objetos de violaciones a derechos civiles. Ya no son necesariamente personas que son acosados o son violentados por su apariencia física y lo que llevan puesto o por su creencia en el Islam, por ser musulmanes. Más bien son señalados por sus posiciones políticas, específicamente contrarias a la guerra en Gaza. Otro segmento que ha sufrido mayor discrimen, un aumento en discrimen de un 15%, es aquellas personas que sufren discrimen en su lugar de trabajo. Esto le ha costado el empleo en Florida. Hemos documentado a docenas de doctores que han perdido su empleo por hacer señalamientos a favor del pueblo palestino o por criticar el gobierno de Israel. Y abogados han perdido su empleo en bufetes de abogados. Y sabemos de la opresión que sufren los estudiantes universitarios a través de toda la nación, y Florida no es una excepción, donde sus protestas pacíficas contrarias a la guerra en Gaza son encontradas con macanazos y violencia por parte de los agentes del orden público y de los administradores de las universidades. Un caso reciente que señalamos es aquel caso en Miami Beach, donde un individuo disparó 17 veces en las calles abiertas de Miami Beach contra un padre y un hijo a los que él entendía que eran palestinos. Una vez este individuo fue detenido y arrestado, las primeras palabras que pronunció fue: yo le acabo de disparar y matar a 2 palestinos. Y lo triste de la situación y lo preocupante de la situación es que ni el alcalde de Miami Beach, señor Minor, ni la alcaldesa del condado Miami-Dade, Levin Cava, al día de hoy han hecho un pronunciamiento asegurándole la seguridad a aquellos residentes y visitantes árabes y palestinos del condado Miami Beach, o aquellos residentes árabes y palestinos y visitantes de la ciudad de Miami Beach. Es una irresponsabilidad y una falta de deber tanto del alcalde Minor como de la alcaldesa Levin Cava, que al día de hoy no han hecho un pronunciamiento público asegurándole la seguridad en las calles de Miami y en el condado de Miami-Dade a aquellos residentes árabes y palestinos. Esperamos que hagan un pronunciamiento específico, no los pronunciamientos generales de decir todo el mundo está seguro, porque evidentemente todo el mundo no está seguro cuando un individuo dispara 17 veces, un extremista terrorista dispara 17 veces en las calles de Miami Beach y no se pronuncian ni hacen algún señalamiento. Al menos la alcaldesa Levin Cava desde un principio sí llamó a que el delito sea clasificado como un crimen de odio, pero el alcalde Minor parece que quiere hacerse el desentendido de esta situación y de este ataque terrorista que sucedió en las calles de su ciudad.
Forgive me if you already explained this, but I wanted to re-ask the question, what is driving this hate, this surge?
Well, there's an obvious element.
In Spanish.
Pero,
I apologize.
I am
No.
English.
bueno, lo que es evidente es que desde el inicio de la guerra en Gaza, luego de octubre 7, ha habido pronunciamientos masivos, no exclusivamente de los musulmanes o árabes, sino del público en general, donde la mayoría del público estadounidense piensa que la guerra en Gaza debe acabar, que debió haber un cese al fuego y obviamente que matar 17,000 niños no tiene excusa alguna y es un abierto crimen de guerra, como lo es al día de hoy un crimen de guerra que se detengan los envíos de alimentos, que se detengan los envíos de agua, que se detengan los envíos de medicina, como lo es crimen de guerra el que se hayan bombardeado mezquitas, escuelas y hospitales. Estos crímenes de guerra, cuando son denunciados por la comunidad, rápidamente son tildados por los simpatizantes de las políticas del Estado de Israel como gente antisemita. Y cuando alguien se pronuncia a favor del pueblo palestino y su derecho inalienable a la libre determinación e independencia y a tener un propio Estado palestino, igualmente son atacados, esta vez asociándolos con organizaciones terroristas. Esto es una falta grave que afecta no solo a los musulmanes, afecta a judíos que se han pronunciado y son tildados como simpatizantes de terroristas, o como en el caso del alcalde Minor, que ha llamado a judíos que han ido a las vistas públicas a denunciar estas irregularidades y estas atrocidades, les ha llamado que ustedes no son verdaderos judíos, como si él fuera el que asigna el judaísmo a las distintas personas. Es muy preocupante porque durante la guerra de Vietnam vimos que se lanzaron a las calles de esta nación miles y miles de estudiantes ya haciendo un llamado de paz. Ha sucedido lo mismo en esta guerra de Gaza, pero las consecuencias han sido nefastas para los estudiantes, quienes han sido perseguidos. Y tan reciente como esta semana, Mahmoud Khalil, un estudiante de Columbia University que no ha sido acusado de crimen alguno, fue secuestrado casi y arrestado por las autoridades de ICE y su residencia pretendía ser revocada sin ningún procedimiento legal, sin ningún derecho a un proceso justo que es garantizado, lo que se llama el due process por nuestra Constitución. Se le violentan dos derechos constitucionales: su derecho a la libre expresión, garantizado por la primera enmienda, y también su derecho a no ser despojado de sus derechos, en este caso, de su residencia, sin un debido proceso de ley y un procedimiento en las cortes administrativas como debería ser.
Anything else?
No.
Say off the record.